guys, and welcome to Hanging On by a Thread podcast. My name is Silja and I'm your host in this little session of knitting chatter. This is a podcast about knitting, crochet and anything fibre related that I think of doing. You might notice that I am in a different location today. It's still the same house. I've just moved downstairs to my partner's studio because I record this on Fridays and I really don't want to mix up my days. And today is what they call a planning day at kindergarten. So the 4-year-old is home and there is no chance in hell to get some peace and quiet to record in the living room when he's home. So I have gone down to my partner's studio, which is nice, it's different, but I had to bring some yarny decorations, otherwise it would be very bare and very monochrome film. But that's it. So welcome, hello. Anything that I mentioned in this episode will be listed in the description box below with quick links to any patterns or yarn providers, etc. I will also have some extended notes on my blog, which is byathreadblog.com. And if you want to follow me on the social medias, you can find me as Silmoa at both Instagram and Ravelry. I'm not really any other place. Welcome. Let's see. As you can see, let's jump right into it before I start making excuses for myself and the little content I have. Because, we make what we can in a week. I have finished, I say finished tentatively, my lockdown cardigan. As you can see, I washed it and locked it and it looks pretty nice. It's super soft and cool. I'm not 100% pleased with it and I'll tell you why. So, as I mentioned the last episode, I was like, before washing it, I had tried it on and it was feeling like it's just a mass of crochet stitches and mass of fabric, heavy fabric really. And it was just like, it blocked out very nicely as I expected. It's now super soft and drapey as alpaca is, which is what I wanted with this. But I don't think I have done everything right. I've never made crochet garments before. This is my first one. And I think my row gauge, I guess, my gauge was off, probably. The length is fine. I am happy with the length. It goes to like just below the buttocks, the mid-thigh region. And it's nice and drapey because of all the alpaca in it. But the row gauge is kind of short, I think, so that it's not as wide as I would have liked. So see, this is the collar bit, it's just this much. And if that's the collar, I feel like that should have been twice as deep. It looks deeper on the photos of the pattern. So that might come down to two things really, I think. It's probably a combination of me being tightly wound and just crocheting a tighter gauge and the yarn substitution. So this color in the pattern calls for, I think it's kid silk held double. Yeah, drops kid silk held double, pretty sure. But whereas I have two different things going on here. I have 3 rows of alpaca poofiness. It's a discontinued yarn, which I only had 2 balls for. and the single ply Malabrigo merino wool in worsted weight held with a strand of kid silk. So I really love the how they turn out, that how that looks, but I don't think it's deep enough. So that made, I didn't get like that collar thing going on, and I also think that I should have seamed up the back like maybe 5 more centimeters up the back, because it dips. So I won't be able to see what's going on the camera. Let's see here. See, it dips. I think that I should have seamed it so it closed here instead. Which in the pattern it said like seam it up to 6 centimeters to where you wanted the back, the neck to start, right? Which is where the problem of the lumpiness of the whole thing pre-washed was. So what I recommend to do, if you want to do this pattern and you're substituting yarns and all these things, before you start picking up for the collar, wash it and try it on so you can seam up that last bit if it doesn't hang properly on you, because now it hangs nicely, but I feel like it's too low in the back. So I think what I'm probably gonna do with this is to, because it's crochet, it's just so easy to add a few more rows. So I'm gonna try to add some more rows onto the shawl. Oh, to the shawl, I don't know, onto the collar. Onto the collar. Yeah, and see if I can maybe do some hidden decrease stitches on the neck bit, so I don't get the little extra floof of fabric there. So if I take down 3-4 stitches in the back and just give it another couple of rows to get from it hanging here to coming in here, also up enough to cover that cold spot in my neck. So yeah, but I am kind of stoked on how the colors came together here. I don't know if you can appreciate it more now. That I'll try to take some photos with this fancy camera after to post on the Instagrams and in my project notes on the finished product. I think I'll just have to shoot that now, because if I leave it until I'm going to fix this, it might never get done. So yeah, this is the Lockdown Cardigan by Theodora Goes Wild, and I've spoken about it 2 times previous, so I'll just copy all the details into the description. Yes, that was a mental note for me, nothing you really needed to hear. Anyways, it's a mix up of colors I had in my stash, and I've kind of wanted to use this. I'll talk a little bit about the colors. I wanted to use this, see that bright happy blue here? I wanted to do this together with navy and mossy greens for a while, but I didn't really know how to incorporate it. I was thinking maybe I should do like an intarsia sweater, but never done intarsia, so that never really took off. And the only yarns I had in these colors were all these alpaca mixes that I think my mom gifted me this like 5 years ago, more 6 years ago possibly, the yarn. So it's been in my stash for a long time. Yeah, the same with the black. All these yarns were either purchases that I ended up not using. So like the black, a lot of the black is alpaca, drops alpaca. So that's and when I was living in Barcelona, there was a online store that did ridiculously cheap sales on this, so I was like, oh yeah, I need black yarn, is always great to have. So I'd order like 12 balls of alpaca yarn that I never got to use. That was smart. But you know, at €1 a pop, it was hard to resist. Yeah, but slowly I'm digging into it. I am setting myself a personal goal of trying to do more out of stash knitting. So when I see these patterns in my streams online and the urge to cast them on comes, I try to think, is it doable with what I already have? So right now I am very, very attracted to all the patterns that seem to use a multiple colors, obviously, because color work always fun. And as long, and especially if they have maybe not the need of a huge amount of base color or main color, because then I know I can use much more of what I already have in stash. Like an example, which is the little pretty pile of yarn there. I just took that with me to make it a bit more prettier down here, a bit more crafty. This is the music studio, by the way, so I'm surrounded by drums and amps and guitars and recording equipment, so yeah. Not very crafty. I'm jealous of him having this room. It's huge. It's like almost the same size as our living room upstairs. So, but you kind of need that if you're going to have a whole drum kit set up and yeah, other things. Sorry, tangent. Ooh. And she froze. I think that was like an echo thing going on. What was I talking about? Yes, out of order. Are we done talking about this? If you think I forgot to say anything important about this knit, I am wearing it. It's nice and warm. What more is there to say? I'm happy about the colors. Oh, the bubbles. I forgot to talk about the bubbles. This was the most, like, I'm not happy about my bubbles on the main body itself. See, they're puny little bubbles. You can hardly see that they're there. And that's my fault. It's the choice of yarn. On the arms though, on the sleeves, I had run out of this combination of yarns, so I had to mix up something else, which resulted in a much more satisfying bubble. Look at that. Can you even see? Oh, dark knits. Anyways, these much more satisfying. So here there's 2 strands of sports weight alpaca yarn and a strand of silk mohair. That resulted in a much more satisfying bubble. I think they could probably be even better, but you need to go chunkier on the yarn. Pro tip there. Okay, that's it for this. Lockdown cardigan, Theodora goes wild. Links below. Yes, I was talking about knitting out of stash and how do we do that. Depends on your stash, obviously. If you have accumulated a huge amount of single skeins of beautiful hand-dyed yarn, your best bet, I guess, is shawls, obviously, hats, socks, all these accessory things. I am more of a garment knitter, so that the single skeins of hand-dyed yarn, depending on what it is, tends to be maybe an accent color on a color work or like stripes here. So I'll see what I do with those, because I do have a few and I'm not much of an accessories knitter. That's probably gonna come back to haunt me and change completely, but at the moment, as it stands, I am not. So yeah, what has been tempting me since the last time we spoke is the one of the designs in the new Pom Pom magazine. It's the one on the front, obviously. That is a lovely little jacket, which uses interlock technique, which I have never done. And I'm a little scared to try, but I think I might do some swatching for this and see if I have any yarn combos that I like. This apparently is this is done in Shetland Spindrift, so I know that Rauma Finull is an excellent substitute for that. So is the Hillesborg yarns Vilja and Sölja, and also Jamieson and Smith's 2-ply. These are all excellent substitutes for the Jamieson Spindrift. I could do a mishmash of all of them, which I like. And I could probably also use some of the yarn I picked up in Riga. So yeah, knitting out of stash, that is my goal this year, as I think it might be for many people. Finances are not great, so there's no such more. I don't have so much, as if I were ever rich. I don't have much disposable income to just hoard yarn, which I did have back in the day. Young and free and living the life in a big city. And yeah, now there's things, there's responsibilities, there's 2 kids, there's house, there's a mortgage. Fun stuff. Which means I actually do appreciate my yarn stash a bit more, because I don't have to feel guilty for spending money on yarn right now, because I already have it and I can go into my personal little yarn shop and pick out stuff for my next project. Hey, I was rudely interrupted by some technical issues. Apparently I had not correctly formatted my SD card. Fun stuff. Anyways, we're back up and running, and I think the last thing I was saying before this rude interruption was that I was gonna knit out a stash. And don't know if I managed to say that. Oh, I got really out of my, I was in a mojo, I was chatting, whatever. Okay, let's see if I can find my mojo again. So I am planning to go into trying some interlock with this lovely pattern in Pom Pom magazine, which is Lucky Pieces. And what I noticed when I finally looked closer on this issue is that all of the designers in this this spring Pom Pom are new to me designers, which is kind of cool. I will have to go and check out a little bit more on what they have made and what they have to offer of other patterns. So Lucky Pieces is by In Young Kim, and the yarn used is Shetland Spindrift, which I have a lot of suitable substitutions for in my stash. 2-ply wool fingering yarns, anything goes. And I can combine all the yarns. I really like the construction, and I like the fact that you can use a mishmash of different colors. I am not too convinced about the arms though, but that's personal insecurities, I guess. The arm, as you can see, goes over the shoulder, and it's like it ends around here, which this part of my arm, not a big fan. And maybe I'll do something there, or it's just a layering piece, which I think it would suit. Anyways, that's that. Now, okay, since I am so indecisive and I don't know what to cast on next, I have picked up a project from Hibernation, which deserves a lot more love, and I am already about halfway on the sleeve because they are not full-length sleeves. Let's see if I can find the pattern. So the pattern I'm talking about is Lapwing. Lapwing by Marie Wallin. Oh, this is it's a very tattered printout of this pattern, but it is a free pattern now by Marie Wallin, and it's all over color work feral design, which has this beautiful it's just very nice, big, bold, intricate feral pattern. And I have gotten this far with the sleeve, and I am just about to begin the biggest motif. I was already done with the body and I've tried it on. It does fit, which makes me happy. I had altered this so to be knitting around. So the original pattern is to be knit flat and seamed. So for this particular color work, I knitting around. Yes, because of this, so get a little technical, because of this big beautiful motif here, knitting in the round, you can't just knit and just do the repeat knitting around and have it be symmetrical. So what I did was I basically followed the knit in pieces instructions, but I joined in the side with an invisible, like I did a purl stitch between the panels. I don't know if this gets... So I did a purl stitch here. So that acts kind of as a fake seam. So on this side, I'm just doing the front panel. On the other side of that purl stitch, I am doing the back panel, which also makes makes sticking relatively easy. So I can already tell after trying this on that this armhole is not really deep enough for me, even though it is oh, what it's called, when the sleeve goes a bit off your shoulder. I don't remember, but you know what I mean. So hopefully you know what I mean. I can show on the picture, you know. It probably says in the instructions in the front. I'm not making up. Here. Jeeps. Doesn't it have any presentation of the pattern? Pattern note. No. Apparently it's just cast on and that's it. Take special care, sure. Anyways, it has that kind of sleeve that goes... Oh, don't zoom in on my face. Here. That kind of thing, that the sleeve gets down here, so you don't need to be wide enough for that. It will be down there. But anyways, it's a bit snug. I put it on now. As previously mentioned, gained a few kilos, so that might be it. But anyways, I reinforced this stick with just a stitch in each mask with a grabby BFL. Well, I had a BFL, so it's the same fibre. I don't know if that makes a huge difference, but I seamed it with this yellow thread, which is also BFL. Yeah, and I don't think it's deep enough, but it's pretty easy since I already have this like purl stitch guiding. I'll just secure a little bit further down and open up that until maybe, let me see, 4 centimeters more. So I have a bit more depth in my armhole. So yeah, I think this is an absolutely gorgeous design. And it's a crew neck. It is the right length for me. I like my jumpers to be hitting me on the hip bone, basically. So it's like slightly longer than a cropped, but it's not so long that I need it to be shaped. So this is not shaped, it's just straight up and down. And yeah, it is, I am knitting this. Oh, I have I have ball bands and all this time. So I am knitting this in 2 local yarns. Well, the yarn on the main color is not local, but the yarn dyer is. So the main yarn, which is this beautiful green. Ah, gorgeous. So it's a minty green with like touches of olive and I want to say natural undyed olives, yeah. It is thin blue-faced Leicester in the colorway Olive by Nina Petrina. Let me see if I can. Ooh. Which is a Norwegian hand dyer. I believe she's located somewhere up north. I know, I do realize that most people I'm speaking to right now, I'm up north, and yeah, all of you are down south, unless you're north of Trondheim, obviously. But Bodø might be the place. I have no idea. But ninapetrina.no, and she she has a very nice hand dyeing business, and I have purchased quite a lot from her over the last few years here in Norway. As particularly like gradient kits, she did publish a book, I think, where, for example, Skander Knits published a sweater, the Skumring sweater, which I knitted as well. I made that, I gifted that to my mom. She loves it, wears it all the time. That was knit in the lamb's wool, which is very nice. It's not pilled or anything. It's yeah. Anyway, I digress. I was talking about my Lapwing sweater knit in blue-faced Leicester hand-dyed wool, and this gorgeous chocolate brown is a 2-ply merino. No, merino. I lie. It's not merino. It's mohair. So it is quite fluffy. So I'm getting this kind of smooth silkiness that I love. I love blue-faced Leicester. It's kind of hard to get here because, you know, local sourcing of yarn and stuff, which is great. But I love, there's the British wools have so many different qualities, and the blue-faced Leicester is so drapey, lustrous, and is still grabby enough to do color work. I just love it. So I paired that with the mohair, which it is not as, I mean, it is a different animal altogether. So this, I could show you the bigger yarn. Here you go. So that's what I have left. I think that should be plenty to complete 1.5 sleeves. This is Telespin Symre, which is a local, this is to the south of me. My reference point in the world is where I am, so to the south, in Norway, in Telemark. Are they even called Telemark yet? Did they get like merged the counties or whatever they're called? Anyways, that's a digression. So it used to be called Telemark. And Telespin, which are Norwegian mohair goats herd. They have one and they spin their own yarn. And Simre is a 2-ply yarn, which is quite, I mean, it's soft and hairy, but it's a little rougher because I believe it's from adult goats. So it's not like the kid mohair, which is the first 2 shears or something of the mohair yarn. So this is quite strong. I feel like it's a very strong yarn, and I didn't want to make a whole garment out of this. That's too hard, I think, for me. But as a contrast color of the color work, I think it will work just fine. And it is knitting up quite nicely. So I picked this back up, so I did not have to make a decision on what to knit next. Sleeves are coming along nicely. I am knitting on a size 3mm needle. No idea what the US size is. DPNs. Yeah. So I will just keep increasing on this sleeve until I feel like I have a width that is comfortable around my arm. Then I will measure that up to the hole I have already sticked on the body and cut up a little bit more to make sure that I get a garment that I can actually wear. And then wash and block it after the 2 sleeves. I think this will bloom and even out nicely. Right now it's a bit, I mean, it's not terribly puckered or anything, but it has some puckering. There are some really long floats in some sections. So at the beginning of this big pattern bit here, so between that stitch and that stitch, these bottom bits are the only things that there's like 35 stitches float. So definitely catch your floats here. And yeah. But yeah, these two, this repeat and that repeat, are the ones that really require keep your tongue straight, as it were. But luckily they are relieved between 2 rows of nothing and then these simple bands between the bigger motifs. So that, yeah. Other than that, I have been plodding along on my Foula Snood, which I have already showed the last 2 episodes. I don't think I'm going to pull that out now. I have it here just in case. I felt like I needed to talk about it. But it's still made in the same yarns, and I have just made another this much of it, and I'm just over halfway now. It's still very like easy knit. Now it's my go-to. I don't know what to knit on, and I can't be bothered with looking at the chart for that again. Yep. I think that's about it. Do I have anything more to talk about? I have a little notebook here, and I just like, it's actually nice to sit down here. I have a sofa. I can put my foot up and things. But I think I should round this up. Partner upstairs is getting a bit fed up with having to manage the both of the kids at the same time, although the little one has been napping. Anyways, yeah, thank you for tuning in, and I hope I made some sense this time. I did have quite a big gap in the middle, so I hope I can stitch this episode together and it will somehow be coherent and seamless and all that good thing. Okay, what else? As always, I really appreciate a few comments on the video. If you wonder what on earth I was talking about and I made no sense at all, but you're still curious and want to know something specific, feel free to ask in the comments below. Recommend me to your friends, share, hit like, subscribe, the little bell thing. But we all know that now I'm on a serious roll, and every Saturday morning there is, or every Saturday, sometimes on a Saturday, whatever time zone you're in, there is going to be a new episode waiting for you. So hopefully I can keep this up. Things are looking good. If I manage to record on a day where the family is home, it might be from this room, but then there should be nothing stopping me. And yeah, until next time, bye.